My dad smashed my wheelchair because I refused to miss graduation for my sister's baby shower. But he didn't expect what happened next. "You're being selfish, Sabrina. Family comes first." "Dad, it's my college graduation. I've worked 4 years for this." "I don't care. Your sister needs you at her baby shower. You're going whether you like it or not." "No, I'm not. I'm graduating tomorrow and nothing's stopping me." "Oh, really? We'll see about that." I heard him storm off toward the garage. Then came the sound of metal hitting concrete over and over. My heart dropped as I wheeled myself out as fast as I could. "Dad, what are you doing?" "If you can't get to graduation, you'll have to come to the shower instead." My dad smashed my wheelchair because I refused to miss graduation for my sister's baby shower. "Hi, I'm Sabrina. Today I'm going to tell you my story. You know how some families have that one golden child who can do no wrong? Well, in my family, that was my older sister, Victoria. And me? I was just the disappointing daughter in the wheelchair who apparently existed only to make everyone else's life more convenient. I was 22 when everything went down, finishing up my bachelor's degree in computer science at Arizona State University. Getting there hadn't been easy. I'd been in a car accident when I was 16. A drunk driver hit us head-on while I was driving home from a football game with my best friend. She died at the scene, and I ended up paralyzed from the waist down. But instead of letting it destroy me, I fought back. Months of physical therapy, learning to navigate the world differently and throwing myself into my studies became my lifeline. My parents, though, they never quite got over their perfect daughter being in a wheelchair. Mom would introduce me to people with this sad, pitying voice, like I was some walking tragedy. Dad just got angry at the world, at God, and eventually at me for not being normal anymore. "Sabrina, can you come downstairs?" Mom called out one Thursday evening about 2 weeks before my graduation. I made my way down the ramp Dad had grudgingly installed after the accident, complaining the entire time about the cost and how it ruined the look of our house. The whole family was there. Mom, Dad, Victoria, with her husband Kyle, and my younger brother Austin, who had just turned 18. "What's going on?" I asked, though Victoria's smug smile already told me I wasn't going to like this. "We need to discuss the 15th, Mom said, not meeting my eyes. "My graduation," I said. "What about it? You guys are coming, right?" Victoria let out this dramatic sigh. "That's actually why we're here. I've decided to have my baby shower that day." I stared at her. "What?" "Vic, you've known about my graduation date for months. Your baby isn't due until September. You have plenty of weekends." "The venue I want at the Scottsdale Resort is only available that day," she interrupted. "And all my friends can make it. It's perfect timing." "Perfect timing? It's my graduation." Dad slammed his hand on the table, making the coffee cups rattle. "Lower your voice, young lady. Your sister's having her first child. That's more important than some ceremony." "Some ceremony? Dad, I've worked my ass off for 4 years. I made Dean's List 3 times. I got a job offer from a tech company in Portland. This is important to me." "Well, family should be more important," Mom chimed in, twisting her wedding ring nervously. "Victoria needs our support, all of us." I looked at Austin, hoping for some backup, but he just shrugged and stared at his phone. Typical. At 18, he'd learned it was easier to stay out of family drama than stand up for what was right. "I'm not missing my graduation," I said firmly. "I'm sorry, Vic, but you'll have to pick another day or I just won't be there." Victoria's eyes filled with tears, her go-to manipulation tactic since we were kids. "I can't believe you're being so selfish." "I was there for you after your accident," she said. "Twice," I shot back. "And one of those times you spent the whole visit complaining about how depressing the hospital was because it was hard seeing you like that," she wailed, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue Kyle handed her. Kyle put his arm around her protectively. "Come on, Sabrina, be reasonable. You can go to graduation another year. It's just a formality anyway." "That's not how it works," I said, my voice rising despite myself. "I'm graduating now. I'm walking across that stage while rolling and getting my diploma. End of discussion." That's when Dad stood up, his face turning that dangerous shade of red I'd learned to recognize. You'll go to your sister's shower, or there will be consequences. Like what? You'll ground me? I'm 22, Dad. I pay rent here. I buy my own food. The only thing you've done for me in years is complain about the wheelchair ramps and how I'm costing you money. How dare you speak to me like that? He roared. How dare I what? Tell the truth. When was the last time any of you came to something important to me? My academic awards ceremony last semester. My presentation at the tech symposium in Phoenix. Oh, right. Victoria had a hair appointment that day. That wasn't just a hair appointment, Victoria protested. It was for my engagement photos, which you've already had retaken twice because you didn't like the lighting, I said. The point is, nothing I do matters to any of you. I'm just the broken daughter who reminds you that bad things can happen. You ungrateful little brat, Dad started, but I'd already turned my chair toward the hallway. I'm done with this conversation, I said. I'm graduating on the 15th. If you want to come support me, great. If not, that's your choice. But I'm not missing my college graduation for a baby shower that could literally happen any other weekend. I headed back to my room, ignoring their shouts behind me. Mom was crying. Victoria was shrieking about how I was ruining everything. Austin mumbled something about going to his friend's house. Dad's voice followed me down the hall, promising this wasn't over. I locked my door and pulled out my phone with shaking hands. That night, I called my friend Denise. We'd met freshman year in an intro programming class and had been inseparable ever since. They're unbelievable, she said after I filled her in on the family meeting. You're still coming to graduation, right? Absolutely, I said, staring at my cap and gown hanging on my closet door. I didn't survive a car crash that killed my best friend in 4 years of college to miss this because my sister wants attention. Good. Jordan and I will be there cheering you on. Jordan was Denise's boyfriend and had become a good friend too. He was studying mechanical engineering and had actually helped me modify some of my wheelchair accessories. At least I had some people in my corner. The next week and a half were tense. Mom kept leaving baby shower invitations on my desk, each one more elaborate than the last, with little notes about how much it would mean to Victoria. Dad would make snide comments at dinner about family loyalty and respect. Victoria called crying almost every other day about how I was ruining her special moment. I held firm. I even picked up extra shifts at my part-time job doing web design for local businesses so I could save up to move out sooner. The house felt more like a prison than a home. Then came the night before graduation. I was in my room ironing my cap and gown, music playing softly from my laptop when Dad appeared in my doorway. He filled the frame, blocking out the hallway light. Last chance, Sabrina. Come to the shower tomorrow. Dad, I love Victoria, but I'm not missing my graduation. She chose this date to manipulate me, and you know it. She could have picked any other weekend. His face turned that dangerous purple color. You're being selfish. Family comes first. Dad, it's my college graduation. I've worked 4 years for this. 4 years of late nights, tough classes, group projects where I had to prove myself twice as hard because people assumed I couldn't keep up. I don't care, he said, his voice cold. Your sister needs you at her baby shower. You're going whether you like it or not. No, I'm not, I said, standing my ground even though my hands were trembling. I'm graduating tomorrow and nothing's stopping me. Oh, really? He leaned against the doorframe, a cruel smile playing at his lips. We'll see about that. He turned and stormed off. I heard his heavy footsteps heading toward the garage. Then came the sound of metal hitting concrete. Over and over, that distinctive clang of a hammer striking steel. My heart dropped into my stomach. No, he wouldn't. I wheeled myself out of my room as fast as I could, my hands slipping on the wheels in my panic, down the hallway, through the kitchen toward the garage door. Mom was standing there, her hand over her mouth. Dad, what are you doing? I shouted as I reached the garage. He was standing over my custom wheelchair, the good one I'd saved for 2 years to buy, working extra hours and skipping meals. In his hands was a sledgehammer. The frame was already bent. One of the wheels lay detached on the concrete floor. The custom cushion I'd ordered for proper support was torn, foam spilling out like guts. "If you can't get to graduation," he said, breathing hard from the exertion, "you'll have to come to the shower instead." I sat there in my backup chair, the cheap one insurance had provided years ago that gave me back pain after an hour staring at the wreckage of my independence. $3,000. 2 years of saving every spare penny, my freedom smashed to pieces on the garage floor. "You're insane," I whispered. Mom appeared behind him, her face pale. "Oh my God, Robert, what did you do?" "I did what needed to be done," he said, dropping the hammer with a clang that echoed through the garage. "Now she'll have to stay home tomorrow. She can't go anywhere without that fancy chair." "That's my wheelchair," I said, my voice breaking. "My freedom, my independence. How could you?" "It's just a chair," he said dismissively, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We'll get you another one after you apologize to your sister and show up tomorrow like a good daughter should." My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone. For a moment, I just stared at the screen, my mind struggling to process what had just happened. Then clarity hit me like ice water. "What are you doing?" Mom shrieked as I dialed, "Reporting destruction of property and theft," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "That wheelchair cost $3,000. It's my property. This is a crime." "You wouldn't dare," Dad growled, taking a step toward me. "Watch me," I said, holding up my phone as the operator answered. "Yes, I need to report a crime. My father just destroyed my wheelchair with a sledgehammer." The next 20 minutes were a blur. I called Denise and Jordan, who said they'd be right over. I took photos of the destroyed wheelchair from every angle. I pulled up my bank records showing I'd purchased it myself. I even pulled up our Ring doorbell footage showing Dad taking my chair from my room into the garage. The police arrived just as Denise and Jordan pulled up. 2 officers, one older with gray at his temples, one younger who couldn't have been much older than me. I showed them everything. "She's lying," Dad told them, his voice full of righteous indignation. "That's my property. I paid for it. I have every right to discipline my daughter." "Actually," I said, pulling up the receipt on my phone, "I bought it myself 2 years ago. Here's the proof. And here's video footage from our doorbell camera showing him taking it from my room without permission." Officer Rodriguez, the older one, took photos and notes while his partner, Officer Stevens, took statements. Dad kept insisting it was just a family disagreement. But destroying property worth $3,000 wasn't a simple argument. "Ma'am," Officer Rodriguez said gently, "do you want to press charges?" I looked at my parents. Mom was crying silently. Dad was still defiant, his jaw set. In the corner, Victoria had arrived with Kyle, attracted by the police cars in the driveway. She was shrieking about how I was ruining everything, how this was supposed to be about her baby. "Yes," I said, looking Officer Rodriguez directly in the eye. "I do. I want to press charges." They arrested him right there. As they led him away in handcuffs, he yelled over his shoulder, "You're no daughter of mine." "Finally, something we agree on," I muttered. Denise put her hand on my shoulder. "You're staying with me tonight. We're not leaving you here." "But graduation," I started. "We'll get you there," Jordan said firmly. "I've got a friend who runs a medical supply company. Let me make some calls." That night, while my family dealt with Dad's arrest and booking, I sat in Denise's apartment trying to process everything. My phone kept buzzing with messages. "Victoria, I hope you're happy. You've destroyed our family. Dad's in jail because of you." "Mom, please drop the charges. Think of what people will say. Think of our reputation." "Austin, Dad's in jail. WTF. Sabrina, this is insane." I turned off my phone and tried to sleep. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw that sledgehammer coming down on my wheelchair. My independence shattered. My freedom destroyed because I dared to choose myself for once. The next morning, Jordan's friend arrived at 7 a.m. with a loaner wheelchair. It wasn't as nice as mine. The seat was harder and the wheels less responsive, but it worked. I put on my cap and gown, my hands still shaking slightly, and we headed to the university. The ceremony was beautiful. Sun streaming through the windows of the auditorium, the smell of flowers from the decorations, hundreds of graduates in caps and gowns. When they called my name, Sabrina Torres, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, magna cum laude, I rolled across that stage with my head held high. Denise and Jordan cheered louder than anyone, whooping and clapping. Some of my professors who knew what I'd been through stood and applauded. For a moment, everything else fell away. This was my moment. I'd earned it. Afterward, we went to the Breakfast Club, my favorite brunch spot in Tempe. Over blueberry pancakes and coffee, Denise showed me something on her phone. "You might want to see this," she said carefully. It was Victoria's Instagram. She'd posted about her baby shower with a long caption about her selfish sister, who chose a piece of paper over family who had their father arrested on what should have been a day of celebration. But the comments weren't what she expected. "Wait, she scheduled her baby shower on your graduation day on purpose? That's manipulative. Your dad destroyed her wheelchair and you're defending him?" "I'm sorry, but that's abuse. This is toxic. Team Sabrina all the way." The post had been shared hundreds of times already. People were tagging news outlets. Someone had even started a GoFundMe for my destroyed wheelchair without my knowledge. "Oh, it gets better," Jordan said, scrolling on his phone. "Check out the Chandler Community Facebook group. Someone had posted the Ring doorbell footage. You could clearly see Dad taking my wheelchair from my room. Then the destruction in the garage. Then the police arrival and arrest. The community was furious. I always knew Robert Torres was controlling. But this is straight-up abuse, that poor girl. Isn't he up for that vice president position at Wells Fargo? Corporate needs to see this." Someone tagged his employer. Someone else tagged the local news. By noon, a reporter had called asking for an interview. By Monday morning, the damage was spreading like wildfire. Dad's boss called him in for a meeting about the disturbing video circulating online and his arrest record. In Arizona, employers took that kind of thing seriously, especially at banks. Mom's book club politely uninvited her, citing the need to reevaluate their membership criteria. Victoria's baby shower had half the expected guests, and according to Austin, who texted me updates, the ones who came spent the whole time gossiping about the family drama instead of celebrating. I found out most of this from Austin, who was the only one still talking to me. He'd been accepted to the University of Colorado Boulder and was counting down the days until he could escape. "It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion," he told me over coffee at a Starbucks halfway between Denise's apartment and our house. Dad's suspended from work pending investigation. Mom's had 3 panic attacks. Victoria and Kyle are fighting because his parents think she's toxic and manipulative. And get this, Grandma saw the video and called Mom to say she's reconsidering who gets what in her will. "Grandma knows?" I asked, surprised. Our grandmother in Tucson was notoriously private and stayed off social media. "Everyone knows Sabrina." It went viral in Chandler. "Local banker destroys disabled daughter's wheelchair to control her. Dad's basically unemployable now." I wish I could say I felt bad, but I didn't. They'd had 6 years since my accident to treat me like family instead of a burden. 6 years to support instead of suppress. This was just consequences, finally catching up. The legal process moved forward quickly. Dad's lawyer, some guy named Richard Thornton, tried to plea bargain, but the prosecutor wasn't having it. Mr. Torres didn't just destroy property. Assistant District Attorney Lisa Hernandez explained to me at a meeting. He destroyed mobility equipment for a disabled person in Arizona. That comes with enhanced charges under our disability rights statutes. He didn't just commit property destruction, he committed abuse. Meanwhile, my job offer in Portland was starting in 2 months. I used the time to find an accessible apartment online, work with insurance to get a new wheelchair approved, and cut ties with most of my family. The GoFundMe someone started had raised over $8,000. People were incredibly kind. The trial was set for 6 weeks after graduation. In that time, the family completely imploded. Dad lost his job at the bank officially. Banks don't like vice presidents with pending felony charges. Mom filed for separation, saying she couldn't handle the shame and the whispers at the grocery store. Victoria's marriage crumbled when Kyle found evidence of other manipulative behavior. She'd lied about being on birth control. Austin told me Kyle found texts to her friend where she admitted she trapped him with the pregnancy because he was talking about breaking up. The trial itself was quick. The video evidence was damning. Dad took the stand and actually tried to justify his actions, talking about discipline and teaching me about family priorities and respect. Judge Maria Santos wasn't impressed. Mr. Dr. Torres, your daughter is a 22-year-old adult, a disabled adult who depends on mobility equipment to participate in society. What you did wasn't discipline. It was cruel, controlling, and criminal. You didn't just destroy property, you tried to destroy her autonomy. He got 2 years probation, 400 hours of community service at the Arizona Disability Advocacy Center, and had to pay full restitution plus emotional damages. The judge also issued a restraining order. I don't want you within 500 feet of your daughter, Judge Santos said firmly. What you did was unconscionable. After the verdict, Victoria cornered me outside the courthouse. Her baby bump was prominent now at 6 months, and she looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. I hope you're happy, she spat. You've ruined everything. Dad's a felon. Mom's having a breakdown. My marriage is over and it's all your fault. No, Vic, it's not, I said calmly. You chose to schedule your shower on my graduation day. Dad chose to destroy my wheelchair. You all chose to treat me like I was less than human because I'm disabled. I just finally chose to stand up for myself. I'm your sister. You should have put me first. When have you ever put me first? When have any of you? Name one time. She started crying again, but for once I didn't care. I rolled away, leaving her there with Kyle, awkwardly patting her shoulder. That weekend I packed up my things. Denise and Jordan helped me load a U-Haul for Portland. Mom showed up as we were finishing, looking older than I remembered. Sabrina, please don't leave like this, she said. We can fix this. Family therapy, whatever it takes. No, Mom, we can't. For 6 years, you've treated me like a burden, like my disability was some personal failing you had to overcome. Dad destroyed my wheelchair, my freedom, because I wouldn't obey. That's not fixable. But family doesn't do what you did, I interrupted. Family shows up, family supports. Family doesn't destroy your mobility aid because you won't comply. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. We just didn't know how to handle it after your accident. Then you should have gotten help, gone to therapy, talked to support groups. Instead, you made me the problem. I hugged her briefly, then pulled away. Goodbye, Mom. The drive to Portland was liberating. 3 days of highways, mountains, and infinite sky. Denise came with me to help me settle in. My new apartment was perfect. Ground floor, fully accessible, in a building with other young professionals. My job at Tech Vision Solutions was everything I'd dreamed. They'd recruited me specifically for my skills in user interface design, particularly my perspective on accessibility. My manager, Helen, welcomed me warmly. I threw myself into work, into building a new life far from Arizona. I made friends who saw me as Sabrina the developer, Sabrina the gamer, Sabrina who made amazing chicken enchiladas, not just Sabrina in the wheelchair. 6 months passed. Austin escaped to Boulder and loved it. Dad was struggling through his community service, forced to work with disabled people and confront his prejudices. Mom was in therapy, living with her sister in Phoenix. Victoria had her baby, a daughter, raising her alone after Kyle left. She named her Sabrina. When Austin told me, I didn't know what to feel. Too little, too late. An attempt at redemption, a final manipulation. A year after graduation, I got a letter from Dad. His handwriting was shaky, uncertain. Sabrina, I know about the restraining order. My lawyer said a letter was okay. I've been at the Disability Center for 10 months now. I've met kids in wheelchairs, adults who were born disabled, parents fighting for their children's rights. I see now what I did to you, not just with the wheelchair, but for years. I was angry at the world for hurting my daughter, but I hurt you worse. I made your disability about me. My disappointment, my shame, the only shameful thing was how I treated you. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I finally understand you were never the problem. I was. I'm proud of you. Be happy, Sabrina. I read it 3 times, then filed it away. Some things can't be fixed with words. Life in Portland was good. I got promoted to senior developer. I started dating a guy named Cameron who worked in marketing. I competed in hand cycling races. I lived fully, completely, without apology. 2 years after the trial, Victoria reached out through Austin. She was in therapy, working on herself, trying to be better for her daughter. She wanted to apologize, to maybe rebuild something. I wasn't ready. Maybe someday, maybe not. I'd built a life where I came first, where my needs mattered, where my wheelchair was just part of who I was, not a burden to manage. That night at graduation, rolling across that stage, I thought my life was beginning. I was right, just not in the way I expected. Sometimes destruction clears the way for something better. So now I want to ask you, have you ever had to choose between family expectations and your own dreams? What did you choose, and do you regret it? Because I chose myself, and I've never looked back.